Last week we learned about for loops, which are loops that run a predetermined number of times. But what if we, as the programmers, did not know how many times we want the loop to run? Well, that's where a while loop comes in. A while loop keeps repeating until a certain condition is met. So let's take a look at this example right here. And this is from Microsoft's Small Basic Guide introducing Small Basic. It's straight from that. So we are establishing a number variable, or declaring a number variable as being equal to 100. So we're just saying number equals 100. What we are going to do is keep dividing this number by 2 until it is no longer greater than 1. So as long as the number remains greater than 1, we are going to keep going through this loop. So number equals to 100. We are saying while number is greater than 1. So this is how many times or how often we're going to go through the loop. Then we're going to display what the current number is. So first it's going to say 100, then it's going to say 50, then 25, and it's all going to be listed right underneath each other. Now we're saying what we're going to do to that number. And now this looks a little bit strange. Number equals number divided by 2. How can we do this? How can a number be equal to itself divided by 2? The instance of the variable's name on the left is what we want it to equal the next time we go through the loop. The instance of the variable's name on the right is what it currently equals. So right now, the number currently equals 100. And we're going to move back to the left. The next time we want to go through this loop, we want it to equal what it currently equals divided by 2. If you think of it that way, it's not too bad to fully grasp. So this is what we want it to equal next time. And this is what it currently equals. And we're going to divide that by 2. And then we end the while loop with an end while. So I'm going to run this program, and it's going to display the result. 100 divided by 2 is 50. 50 divided by 2 is 25. And it just keeps going. And it stops here at 1.5625. Because if it was to divide by 2 again, it would be less than 1. And we said at the beginning, we're going to keep going while the number variable is greater than 1. If it's not greater than 1, then we're going to stop. So yeah, that's it. So the same works if I type 200. It's going to start at 200 and keep dividing by 2. Of course, it only added one more number. So let's change this up a bit. Let's say that I want to add 1 to the number and keep going as long as the number is less than 200. I know I'm kind of working from bottom to top here. And the number is going to start off equaling 1. So the number will equal 1. This loop will continue to repeat as long as we're under 200. And each time we go through the loop, we'll add 1 to that number. So this is what it's going to equal next time. We don't exactly know yet. I mean, we know it's going to be 2, but let's just pretend we didn't know. It's going to equal what it currently equals, 1 plus 1. Next time, the number will equal 2, and we're going to add 1 to that. The next time we go through the loop, it will equal 3. We're going to add 1 to that. So that's the whole the variable equals itself thing. It equals what the current number is and whatever else you want to add to it. And look at this. It's going to keep counting until we reach 200. Oh, well, you know what? It reached 199. So the reason it didn't say 200 is that we want to keep going while it is under 200. So I can either change this to 201, or I could say less than or equal to. Or I could just say, actually, no, that wouldn't work. It should stop at 200 now. I could have changed to 100 so it wouldn't take as long. There we go. Okay. If I said equal to 200, I don't think this program would even work. Well, let's see what happens. It's not going to work, so... Yep, there we go. Alright. So yeah, a while loop, or with a while loop, we don't know how many times it's going to run. I mean, we kind of know that it's going to run like 200 times, but let's just say the number was really big, or we were dividing, like in the previous example, or we were just multiplying. We wouldn't know. But that's how a while loop works. You do have to be careful though, because it's possible to create an infinite loop if you're not careful of what you're doing. It's actually quite easy to mess this up. Let's just say that I set my number to 10. And I say while number is greater than 1. Okay, you see what's going to happen here? We're starting off equaling 10, and we're going to keep going through this loop while the number is greater than 1, and we're adding 1 to it each time. That means this loop will never end. See? It's going to keep on going forever until this web app can't handle a large enough number, or until it crashes. It's going to keep going. It'll never end. So that's how you can create an infinite loop quite easily. And there are all sorts of ways you can do it, ways that I can't even think of. But sometimes you can't think of it until it actually happens. So if we establish that the while loop is going to end at a certain point, but we're constantly going above or below that certain point, then it's possible for the loop to keep going on forever. So that's what we have to be careful of. In this case, we're saying keep going as long as we're greater than 1, but we're always greater than 1 right from the very start. So sometimes we want the program to repeat a certain number of times, in which case we'd use a for loop. Sometimes we don't know how many times we want to repeat, and we want to keep going until a certain condition is met, therefore we'd use a while loop. And sometimes we just want to go back to a previous point in the program, in which case we'd use a marker. So the whole start and go to start thing, using a marker, that's when we want to simply go to a previous point in the program. We're not necessarily counting, we're not necessarily looping a certain number of times. Sometimes we want to go, if a certain condition is met. I know it sounds very similar to a while loop, but in the case of a while loop, we don't know how many times that condition is going to be met. Whereas with a marker, we might. A marker kind of depends. I think it could fit either. You could go either way with a marker. But a while loop will pretty much always fit the category of us not knowing how many times it's going to repeat. In a for loop, we do pretty much always know how many times it's going to go, because actually we set that from the very beginning. And those are some valuable lessons on loops. So we're going to continue working with these in our projects.